Jozic, and it is my great pleasure to serve you as today's conference moderator. Before each presentation, I will invite our speakers by giving a brief introduction of the topic they're going to present. I would also like to inform you all that this conference is being recorded. I'm sure that all of you are looking forward to today's presentation, so without further ado, I'm inviting the head of the Central State Office for Demography and Youth, the State Secretary, Mrs. Željka Josic, to give us our welcome speech.
Hello. Well, dear youth, dear ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and we welcome to this webinar, which is a part of the conference on the future of the Europe, and it is so nice to see you in this virtual setting. Even we prefer meetings in person. Today our focus will be the youth. We have some very interesting guests, and we are very proud that our young businessmen will present their projects, good practices, and new ideas. All of us in the Central State Office for Demography and Youth believe that the youth are among the key stakeholders for creating a better future and for improving demographic trends. So we cooperate with them and with youth organizations to provide help in education, on the labor market, and with housing. Pandemic COVID-19 had a lot of negative impacts on our lives. It showed us once again how important is to hear the voice of the young people. Active youth is the basis of sustainable community and society we strive to. We need to encourage them to actively participate in society. We can do this through counseling and inform them, help them in organization of their free time, and supporting the youth initiatives in local communities and on the EU level. We need to to invest in the youth so that they can contribute back to the society. By establishing centers where they could gather information and get support, education, program, and cultural diversity, we can give them an extra push. We can show them that we are here for them and for their ideas and, of course, for their solutions, that we listen and respect their opinion and that we care. Investing in the knowledge and skills of the youth leads to better chance on the labor market. This encourages and empowers them and shows that we recognize and support their efforts. We can say we are now in the final stage of preparing the national program for the youth 2022 to 2024. The goal of this document is to create supportive environment for the youth and in that way to improve the quality of lives of the young people. We welcome the initiative that 2022 is the European Year of the Youth. This year, our office planned even more activities with and for the youth and to establish even stronger cooperation with them. Our priority is the youth in rural and remote areas who need to have the same opportunities as those who live in bigger cities. And I would like to thank for their contribution and collaboration, and we thank them, of course, for the critics and for offering the solutions. So we build a better future for all. And I would like to congratulate to our young businessmen who will present today for their success. They show by an example that can be done if we work hard and if we don't give up on our dreams and ideas. And thank you for showing us that we can build a better world. And thank you for all for participating. So we can start now. Thank you.
Mrs. Josic, thank you. We will begin with the two presentations by young entrepreneurs. When it comes to traveling, modern technologies might enable us to experience more than we can observe in our immediate surroundings, connecting past and present and taking us into the future. Please welcome creative minds behind conception and creation of the first guidebook series to countries that no longer exist. Mr. Giovanni Valle and Mrs. Ivana Pogadic-Valle, I would like to invite you to start with your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear us correctly. My name is Giovanni Valle, and I'm a journalist, an Italian journalist. I work as a foreign correspondent for Italian and French media. And Ivana.
My name is Ivana Pogadic-Valle. I'm an interpreter and translator for English, French, and Croatian. And we are an Italian-Croatian couple living in Zagreb.
And we are also the two main persons behind Extinguished Countries. As you'll see later, we'll show you the entire team that worked behind this editorial project. But in few words, Extinguished Countries, as you said just now, is the first series of guidebooks, so travel books, to countries that no longer exist. Instead of following today's borders, so having a guidebook, I don't know, about Croatia or Italy or France, we write guidebooks about countries that existed in the past, with the idea of showing what we have in common.
Yes, so we had this idea when we were in Dubrovnik some 3 years ago. We were walking through the old town of Dubrovnik, which I guess everybody knows about because it's very popular. And we were speaking about the local history, the Republic of Dubrovnik or the Republic of Ragusa, and the problem of mass tourism. So as we were walking, we realized that actually the most popular tour in Dubrovnik is the one related to Game of Thrones, while in fact more historically relevant and certainly as interesting would be the one about the Republic of Dubrovnik, except maybe without the dragons, but as interesting with all the spies and intrigues that we saw in the famous HBO series. So we asked ourselves, wouldn't it be cool to have a tourist guidebook that takes you to a country that no longer exists, that shows you how people lived at that time, and more importantly, all the things that explain our present now. So all the things that we that originate from a certain period and that we still either cook today or the words that we use today and that we share with our neighboring countries from the time when we were connected at some point.
Yeah, so the idea was not to write history books, because those already exist about the Republic of Ragusa, of Dubrovnik, or the Republic of Venice, or I don't know, the Habsburg Empire, but to write travel books. We've prepared a small presentation to show you something from our first book. Let me know if you can see this presentation. Yes, you do. So we decided to start, as Ivana said, like the first conversation about this happened some 3-4 years ago in Dubrovnik. Then we decided to start with the first guidebook, and this is the Republic of Venice. We chose the Republic of Venice because the history of the Republic of Venice is mainly Adriatic, let's say, and then as an Italo-Croatian couple, we thought this Extinguished Country was the closest to us. So here you can see the map of the Republic of Venice and all the territories that were once part of the Republic. You probably know the Republic of Venice lasted for 1,000 years, from the 6th, 7th century after Christ till 1797, with the arrival of Napoleon in Venice and on the Dalmatian coast. So what we did in the past 3 years was to interview thousands of historians, cook, museum directors, and to collect their stories. Because, as Ivana said, what we wanted to do was to show the different points of view on a common past. So not a nostalgic book about the Republic of Venice, but a book where we can hear the voice of what Greek people think, or Croatian people think, or Slovenian, or people from Cyprus, or Italians from different regions. So to see how that past is used today and how it is experienced.
And interpreted, yes. Also, one of the things why we thought this project is important, at least to us, is because in the in the current time of resurgent nationalism in Europe, we saw this as an opportunity to show that that we have a lot of things in common, that we don't just focus on the things that differ us, but that we see that throughout history, countries changed and that they left multi-layered, stratified heritage that a lot of different peoples now share. So to focus more on the things that we have in common rather than the things that make us farther apart.
So here you can see, for example, the index. This is the first book, so Republic of Venice, that you can see here, is the first book that we published this year. Is the result of all those hundreds of interviews, and is organized in this way. There is an introduction about what the Republic of Venice was, so a sort of historical introduction with the main institutions of the time, how this maritime republic worked, and then it goes country by country, following what would be today's heirs, let's say, of that common past, with a special chapter about the Republic of Dubrovnik, because, as Ivana said before, this is where the idea started, and also the Republic of Dubrovnik the history of the Republic of Dubrovnik explains some geographical things in the Adriatic coast.
Yes, and the Republic of Dubrovnik was like the nemesis of the Republic of Venice at that time. So from being enemies to today sharing the same problem of mass tourism is something that also originates from that period. Their glorious past made them so popular that today they're facing different challenges.
So we propose itineraries that are different from those that you can find in mainstream guidebooks. So instead of, again, following today's borders and proposing just a guidebook, following the region of Italy, for example, here we suggest to discover the Republic of Venice by sea, or by following the architectural heritage from northern Italy to Cyprus, or by following some gastronomical hints.
Yes, my favorite, gastronomy. So the book also features some recipes that we found talking to local chefs, which originate from the time of the Republic of Venice and which are still prepared in many countries of the former Republic of Venice. This is an example, sardine sour. In Croatia, we also prepare it. We call it srdela u savuru. We also tried it on the island of Corfu this summer. All the countries still prepare the dish that got spread through the territory at the time of the Republic of Venice, even though, of course, throughout history, it changed a bit. So there are always local peculiarities, but the basis is the same. It's not the only example. We have pasticada in Croatia. In Verona, they also do pasticada. Mm-hmm. And on Corfu, they do pasticado.
And the same thing happens in language. So most of Croats might know that there are many words still used on the Croatian coast that come from the period of the Republic of Venice. But what we didn't know when we started all this research is that those very same words are used also in Corfu, or in some Greek island, or in some parts of Albania, and that there are words that made the other, let's say, trip, and from the Dalmatian coast came to Venice. So in the guidebook, we introduced, for example, this small dictionary that helps people use some of those words today. And then I think maybe the most tangible heritage is architecture.
It's architecture and the glorious fortresses that were built at the time that are still present. And actually, through all of this, we wanted to show that Venice is not just the city center of Venice. Venice is much more. So to the glorious past and to the wealth of Venice contributed all the regions and all the territories of the then Republic of Venice, which are, as we said, today encompass 7 countries from Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro, Albania, Cyprus, and Greece. Another problem that we already mentioned, and you can see the huge cruiser here, is the problem of mass tourism that is not only the problem of Venice and Dubrovnik, but also some other countries, and that is one of the challenges that we face today, how to solve it. In this book, we know that we cannot solve the problem through this book, of course, but we wanted to use it to inspire or motivate people to travel slower, to take the time to dive into the history of the place that they're visiting, to understand better the present and the challenges that carries the future, or the challenges that they're facing today. So we connected with an association from Venice,
which is called Venice is Not Disneyland. Our idea was, we were asking ourselves, how can we write about Venice in a travel book about a city like Venice or Dubrovnik, where there is already so much that has been written and already so much tourism. So Venice is Not Disneyland is an association of a few young Venetians that via a Facebook page and an Instagram account, they share information about what are the damages that have been done by mass tourism in Venice, and what are, let's say, the authentical things or the positive things that we can still find in Venice. Because in Venice, there are still some 57,000 people living, so there is an ordinary life. And we asked them to prepare an itinerary for us, and this is their itinerary that you can find in the book. So again, a way to go a bit beyond what mainstream guidebooks are, and merge maybe a bit journalism and tourism and travel writing, and give something more, because I think that as travelers today we want something more authentic, something different, not just the standard offer that we get.
So as we mentioned earlier, the idea was not to write a history book, because there are so many history books. We wanted to write an reader-friendly, easy and fun guidebook with stories, anecdotes, traditions, and so on, which explain us why we do some things even today, or what are the controversies which stem from the period that we are writing. So these are some of the illustrations that show some of the stories from the book. One example of a controversy is, where was Marco Polo born? So we didn't want to avoid the things that still spark some disagreements, but our approach was, so for those who don't know, there is a disagreement between where Marco Polo was born, whether it was on the island of Corčula in Croatia or in Venice. The truth is that actually there is no historical proof whatsoever to show, there is no birth certificate of Marco Polo to show where he was born, but our approach was that it doesn't even matter where Marco Polo was born. It matters that he connects the two countries today, Italy and Croatia, and that his heritage should be used not through disputes between the countries, but to make joint projects to promote this heritage and to use it for some good purposes. An analogy can be made with Nikola Tesla, which will be in a book about another extinguished country, but it shows the same thing. It doesn't matter to which country he belongs. It matters that he connects the two countries, and that's kind of the idea of the whole guidebook.
Yeah, especially because the country that exists today didn't exist at the time of the extinguished country in question. So some question that we ask ourselves today are simply historically wrong placed. But in any case, after publishing the book, what we did, we started presenting it all around. We went by bicycle from Bergamo to Venice. We presented the book, as you can see, in the Council of Europe in Venice. Then we brought the book to Greece. We brought the book to Croatia, all around Italy. And as freelancers, the way we started this project, I think, is also interesting compared to what we're talking about now, young entrepreneurs and so on. We started in March 2020 with a crowdfunding campaign. So we collected our first funds, 25,000 euros online, pre-selling the book that back then didn't exist. This is the crew, so you can see me and Ivana, but also Eva, an illustrator from Rovinj, Paul, who is a French-English photographer and video maker, Hrvoje, who did the design of the book, is from Zagreb, Julian is French, Felipe is from Brazil. So we gathered this, let's say, international crew, mainly based in Croatia, and started the project via that crowdfunding campaign.
Yes, and this was the nicest part, I think, of the production of the book, because we had a team of young professionals, enthusiastic professionals, and through crowdfunding we managed to build a community of people who liked the project, who were willing to buy the book before it existed, and who supported us, and the book was produced in a very participatory manner. So I think that's important, and that even it provides more feedback and more motivation, even, let's say.
Yeah, and I think that's also what helped us to go on. So now we would like to conclude by showing you the video that we made back then in March 2020. But before we show you the video, I'd like to say that now we're moving forward. So we're preparing the second book, which will be about the Habsburg Empire. So again, we're tackling a part of the past of the European Union, with the goal of helping creating its nowadays identity, because we both believe that our identity is the sum of different layers. So a bit of, I don't know, as for us, for example, a bit of Habsburg Empire, a bit of, for me, the Republic of Venice, for you, I don't know, the Ottoman Empire, Yugoslavia. I mean, there are several layers that influenced who we are today, and we want to show that in this fun way, which is the travel books. So we'll stop this presentation and share with you the video with the sound.
What if we could travel in a way that goes beyond today's borders and takes us back in time to lost kingdoms, republics, and empires, like a time machine?
I'm Giovanni Vale. I'm a journalist and travel writer, and today I'm launching a guidebook series about countries that no longer exist. The first book of the series is about the Republic of Venice, a 1,000-year-old state that included parts of Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro, Albania, Greece, and Cyprus. In the past 2 years, I've interviewed hundreds of people, and I've gathered wonderful stories that show that the Republic of Venice is actually still alive. There are craftsmen rebuilding an ancient pirate boat. There are Venetian dishes still cooked around the region.
And what about this old fortress?
Once it was a battleground, and today it hosts performances with a view over the Bay of Šibenik. Working with a team of professionals, I have also turned months of research into dozens of maps, illustrations, and timelines. You will find all this in a 250-page book that works like a pocket time machine. It will guide you to places overlooked by mainstream guides, and yet full of exciting stories. There will be a lot of extraordinary people to meet and amazing locations to see. At Extinguished Countries, we don't follow today's borders, but we take you on a journey through time and space, looking for what unites us rather than divides us. So if you're looking for new ways to travel, then back our campaign and help us bring the Extinguished Countries back to life. We need your support to print the first 1,000 copies of this book. So grab your copy today and let our common past be your future destination.
Okay, so yeah, and since then we not only printed the first 1,000 copies of the book in English and Italian, but we ran out of the Italian copies, we reprinted it again, and now we're almost running out of the English copies. So it's going quite well. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Vale and Mrs. Bogacic Vale, thank you for presenting us the creative power of ideas and collaborative work that resulted from the need for knowledge and the diverse experiences derived from, if I heard it correctly, the world of fantasy and knowledge of the past and present, including cultures, values, architecture, and much more. Going next, layperson's conceptions of creativity are diverse. But when it comes to creativity in expert domains, it is mostly about finding solutions to existing problems. One of the areas of entrepreneurial endeavor is finding ways of saving the environment while at the same time reducing production costs in order to stay profitable. What comes next is an par excellence business pitch and already successful business overview. So please welcome the founders of brand Mladi, comfortable and durable green sneakers that are made of 97% natural materials. Mr. Domagoj Boljar and Mr. Hrvoje Boljar, I would like to invite you to start with your presentation.
Hi everyone. First, I would like to thank you for this opportunity and say hi to Giovanni and Ivana. I really admire your project. I was a small backer in your Kickstarter campaign and I really admire what you do, and I'm going to buy all the books one by one. And also a history buff, so it's a double win. Also, Hrvoje Živčić is a good friend of mine who you worked with. I like to say hi to Vlado, my friend from Dugaresa, who is also in this call on the next presentation. So my brother is not joining us here. We are never at the same time at the same place. And usually it's quite easy for me to present after someone, but this was really an amazing presentation between two of you exchanging. It was great. So now we're gonna have a tough time. I'm so used to presenting to VC funds and investors, so I don't know how to present in an easygoing way anymore. So yeah, sorry for that. First of all, about Mladi, I'm gonna also go to the presentation later, but try to go into a more easygoing way to maybe talk about the dream. So also, Mladi is a unique project, and Mladi are the most extreme ecological sneakers in the world by far. It sounds bold, but it's true, and it came from a dream that was in the making for 7 years now. So my brother and I, we are industry insiders. We are from the footwear industry, and we inherited a footwear factory from our father, which was really successful at that time. But after the global recession hit in 2009, it all went to shambles, and my brother and I decided to try to pursue this venture further, no matter what. And we kind of rethought the way that our father was doing the business, and we started doing developing high-end luxury sneakers for European fashion brands from Paris and Amsterdam, really high-end luxury stuff. And we were doing it from scratch, like getting a design of a sneaker and then working with the design team from Paris to really get this product to the shelf. So the whole process was up to us, designing, developing, producing, and actually packaging the shoes to be ready to sold in New York or in Tokyo and all over the world. And this was a really nice business, and everybody we were getting famous in the industry. But in 2015, at one point, my brother had an epiphany, he had a stroke almost had a stroke, I would say. He said, I don't want to do this anymore. We are creating trash. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be a part of. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And I was really flabbergasted, because at that point we were doing really high-end luxury fashion stuff, and it was really cool. Teams from the Netherlands, teams from Paris, teams from Italy coming to our office in small town of Dugaresa and designing crazy stuff. But he said that he read an interview from an industrial designer who at the end of his career said that everything that he did up to that point was creating garbage and being part of this consumerism that until very recently everyone was really deeply involved with. and he said that he wanted to change the way that shoes are made, that he wanted to change the way shoes are created, and he wanted to spread the word about the horrible, toxic influence of the footwear industry and the fashion industry that we have, that is being done on the environment. So I'm gonna just open my presentation for a bit. So, just a sec. Is it full screen now? Okay, I hope. So at that point, we decided to pursue this project and change the future of footwear and really redesign shoes from the bottom up and make them compatible with nature. And that was extremely hard at that point because sustainable fashion wasn't even a coined term. Nobody was talking about microplastics, and things were business as usual. The whole industry was totally blind to the influence that they have. And what Hrvoje saw, visiting tanneries, visiting outsole producer, visiting other factories, he saw that nobody is even thinking about that horrible influence that the shoes have on the environment. So he started changing one material after the other to find the most suitable, maximally ecological alternative to every component that the shoe has. And the shoe is a really complex product. So the problem that he wanted to tackle is huge because humans produce more than 24 billion pairs of shoes each year, which is actually enough to circle the globe 300 times over with the line of shoes each year. And almost none of those are recycled. And the other problem is that shoes are made basically from plastics. All of these types of sponges and polyesters and outsoles from rubber, which is made also from petroleum, these are all petroleum derivatives, and they cannot be separated or recycled in any way, and they stay fused together in a way that they cannot be disassembled. And also natural leather, which is a natural material and has amazing properties, is natural only until to the point where people process it in a tannery. And when it's processed in a tannery, this means that a lot of chemical heavy metals are put into the leather, so it's durable and long lasting. But on the other side, this process is terrible, and also that leather that's created will last forever and have an influence on the environment as forever. So after 7 years of development, actually 6 to the point where we are at now, we crafted the ultimate bio-based sneaker made from 97% bio-based and natural materials. We used 9 plants and New Zealand wool to craft this sneaker. And it was a really big challenge because to have a viable, sustainable product, doesn't just have to be natural and compatible with nature, but it has to look nice, it has to be fashionable, it has to be durable, and it has to be comfortable. And to combine all of these in a product, it was a painstaking process, but Hrvoje is stubborn, so he did it. So we actually produced the sneaker, but this sneaker is just a vehicle of change, is just a personification or a manifestation of the values that we wanna have. And our mission basically is to show that there's an alternative to the products that we use today. And through this product, we are not just raising awareness of consumers, but where we see the biggest change is that we are raising awareness of the producers of materials and other shoe producers, because they see that there are alternatives and that they can change the way that they create their basic materials or how they create shoes in general, and that the market is willing to accept, and actually that people are really hungry for these kind of options to fit the green lifestyle of the millennials and Z generations who are really driving the change in the world at this moment. So what we're doing with the project alongside producing sneakers is really tackling as much as the ecological and the development goals that United Nations Sustainable Development Goals have set forth. So we are tackling three goals, and we are tackling responsible consumption and production, climate action, and life below water. And so when we design the product, but when also when we sell the product, when we ship the product, we have all of these goals in mind, and we try to maximize our positive influence on these. What's really similar with extinguished countries and Mladi is that we both decided to launch the projects through Kickstarter. And we are both really utilizing the community that we are building to further our projects. So we launched that, I think, at a similar time, just before the pandemic hit in March 2020, and we had 562 people back in the project, which really helped us not just to sell the initial quantity, but to confirm that to us and to our investors that this is a product that makes sense. And it gives you an amazing, as they said, emotional boost that you see that there's a community backing the dream that you have. So yeah, now we are already a growing company with 3 financing rounds behind us. We are growing, and this year, the last year, we sold to more than 60 countries in the world, and winning major awards, and really growing on that community that helped us launch this project in the start. So the team behind the project is, of course, Hrvoje, who's the dreamer and the creator of the project, and myself, who am the one on the business side of the project, and actually helping him to have more time to develop new products. But we are already backed with a team of 6, a really young and versatile team from design, sustainability, marketing, and business development, and we have big plans for this year, but this is not the subject here. Just last year, we won the Global Footwear Award in the Sustainable Fashion category, the International Design Award, and we are being recognized already as experts globally in this field. So Hrvoje was invited to speak at Polymers in Footwear, which is a huge conference tackling sustainability of materials that are used in footwear globally. And yeah, that's the small presentation that I had. I tried to eliminate all the business elements from it, not to bore you with it. Sorry, I don't know how to turn off. Okay. Yeah, now I turned off the presentation. So that was the gist of it. A really big parallels between our 2 projects. I think what's really important to stress that it shows that today to grow a project, be it a business project or a social project, is important to engage the community and to engage the young peoples, and these kind of platforms are really important. So I want to use this opportunity to say that this is one of the biggest problems that we in Croatia have. We cannot actually launch crowdfunding campaigns directly from Croatia. We need to use intermediaries from the US or in Italy, and a lot of things are not available for young people like us. It takes much passion and determination to overcome these seemingly simple obstacles, but these are things that turn away a lot of people who are not so determined from launching their own projects. So I would invite the stakeholders here to maybe help and push to grow this agenda of introducing Kickstarter and other platforms in Croatia. It needs to be a holistic approach to really, also from the governmental side, to push to get these platforms here, because it's much more important than one might think. I think both of these projects show the importance of it. Yeah, thanks.
Mr. Blomberg, thank you. I'm quite sure that everybody present took notes of your recommendations of what might be improved in order to help youth really realize their business ideas and endeavors. I would also like to thank you for the presentation of what is truly entrepreneurial part, that give us better understanding of how implementing the values that aim to protect our environment might transfer the business, while at the same time keeping the business profitable and the products exciting and accessible. After hearing these success stories that will hopefully serve as the inspiration to young entrepreneurs, we might ask ourselves, what more than creative idea does it take, as already Domakwe said? So what follows next are the presentations by the experts in the field of youth on the EU level. And some of the questions that might be arising is, how is it that young people can become not only entrepreneurs, but also active members of the society, even co-creators and innovators in the field of national and international policymaking? So we will have an overview of strategies, policies, tools, and actions aimed at empowering youth participation, namely the current state regarding EU youth policy, including implementation and recent progresses of activities set out in the EU youth strategy, as well as different opportunities available through the EU flagship programs and initiatives. So please welcome Counselor in charge for Youth and Sports Affairs, former chair of the Youth Working Party at the Council of the European Union, based in Brussels at permanent representation of Croatia to the EU, Mr. Vladimir Shaman. Mr. Shaman, I would like you to start with your presentation.
Thank you very much. I hope that you all hear me well. First, I just want to say thank you for the invitation and a big wow to the held presentations, both from Ivana and Domagoj. So I'm actually very happy to hear about so many various different things. So the presentations are completely different, but then on the other hand, they completely encompass all the relevant topics that are actually being discussed either on national or the EU levels. And I'm especially proud that this project, one of those two projects, is actually coming from my hometown. So this is something that I'm quite, of course, happy to see. Unfortunately, my presentation is not going to be so vivid as yours, but I'm sure that I will try to at least make some novelties in the EU youth policies closer to the different youth stakeholders, in order for them maybe to find some more opportunities and more information. So let's start with the okay, I hope that you can now see the presentation. So as being already introduced by the moderator, this is going to be a short presentation about the current state of play in the EU youth policy. And I would now okay, so I'm going to give you a short overview first about the implementation of the European Youth Strategy, which is the most important umbrella document, and which is our basis for work on the EU Council and also on the national levels. Also to give you an overview about some tools and instruments that are now taking place and are quite popular, and also are being improved daily in our daily work, and also what might be the most interesting for you to see and to listen to is about the EU flagship programs, notably novelties in the Erasmus Plus program, European Solidarity Corps program, and also the new initiative, European Year of Youth. So in regards to the European Youth Strategy, as previously said, this is the umbrella document, the most strategic document, which serves as an instrument for achieving a stronger and a meaningful cooperation between member states, as well as for support to youth policies at EU and national level. So this document creates basis for youth stakeholders' actions, and it has its main three concepts: engage, connect, and empower. And with those concepts, it contributes to development of various measures and instruments, and also it contributes to an impactful implementation of key EU programs in the field of youth. What I would like to stress is that the European Youth Strategy has been co-created with young people, especially if we talk about European Youth Goals, which are a consisting part of the strategy, and they serve as a basis of inspiration, both for the policymakers, but also for all other different youth stakeholders while creating their ideas and opportunities. So this strategy has been actually an opportunity for each member state to clearly identify common challenges and priorities through different means of cooperation, meaning that, of course, member states are in charge for their youth policies. So this is the so-called member state competence. But despite of the diversity of their national realities, the member states have managed to find a mutual language for cooperation. If you want to know more about the European Youth Strategy, there is also a link below so that you can familiarize yourself with the document. What was actually currently it was quite important for the development of current measures and of course the future actions is the implementation of the youth strategy and how it actually went in previous 3 years since it has been adopted. In that purpose, there was a report made by European Commission and it has been published in October last year, so it's quite a recent document. So it is the so-called the European Youth Report, which stresses different aspects of young people and their lives, but it's basically it's a comprehensive document which is accompanied by a side report on a situation of young people, and it actually encompasses different aspects and parts of the life of young people and their actions, such as social inclusion, youth work, employment and entrepreneurship, health and well-being, digital skills. So all this has been actually very well elaborated in the report with specific sources from the Eurostat or the Eurobarometer. So it is something very worth seeing and also to find when creating your own ideas, policies, actions and measures. So what has been concluded is actually that young people are being involved in many forms of civic and political participation. So this is actually, this can be seen through increased turnout in voting. For example, during European parliamentary elections, there has been an increase of young voters as in comparison to the previous elections in 2014. Okay, maybe this number hasn't been that high and it can be still improved, but there is significant progress in this area. There are different social movements where young people can get involved. There is also, of course, the Conference of the Future of Europe, as you are all aware of, and there are also some new initiatives by the European Commission, such as the new European Bauhaus, which also gives the opportunity to young people to get involved. And there are also numerous other initiatives and programs that I won't get into now because the webinar will last quite some time. Anyways, so the main messages are those that there has been a lot of progress. So I'm staying on a positive note. Of course, there is always room for improvement. But definitely there are so many increased opportunities now for young people to participate in education, in training, learning and employment prospects, which can be also seen in different projects, as I will tell you a bit afterwards. And also this EU cooperation on youth is becoming a source of inspiration to other regions in the world. For example, the Eastern Partnership countries are following this example of the EU cooperation, and they will, for example, develop their own program for youth participation, the Eastern Partnership Youth Dialogue. So I will also give you some more information about those types of instruments a bit later. And for those who might be interested, you can find the documents in the links below, and also some documents that have been adopted by the Council very recently, and they also concern the implementation of the strategy. When we talk about instruments and tools, so those tools are also more or less prescribed by the strategy, but they are very much embraced by whole community in the youth field. There are different instruments. I won't go into details because there is quite a lot to talk about. But what may be more interesting to stakeholders and to young people is, for example, the EU dialogue, which is the one of the most important mechanism for youth participation on an EU level. So it has been the supranational instrument involving more than 50,000 people per cycle. We are now in the 9th cycle of the EU dialogue, and I'm sure that in the next presentation by my French colleague, you will hear a bit more about it. So there has been a lot of developments regarding those tools. For example, the EU Youth Coordinator, this is the contact point that has been appointed within the European Commission, Ms. Biljana Sirakova, and she is actually the contact point both for the youth sector, but also for the different directorates in the European Commission, which is, of course, a huge institution, and especially nowadays it needs great sectorial cooperation because of the very, very high established priorities on the European Union, which concern young people as well. Of course, there is a lot of evidence-based tools that are being used by all the policymakers and also other stakeholders. For example, you can always find different information in YouthWiki or, for example, in the Eurobarometer service, different researchers, studies, etc. So it's really a very nice way to find your way around if you want to learn a bit more about youth policy. Also, there have been a lot of events organized. For example, the European Youth Event organized by the European Parliament and the European Youth Week organized by the European Commission, which also give an extra opportunities for young people to get involved in participation processes. And also, maybe the most important thing today, because of some other things that I will talk to you about a bit later, is the European Youth Portal as the central point to get involved and to find the most recent information about the EU initiatives. So this is something that I would really advise you to follow and to follow even on some regular basis. I will now move to, okay, so there are two specific flagship programs in the field of youth. Most of you, I'm sure that you already heard of. So these are Erasmus, actually Erasmus Plus, and the European Solidarity Corps, which we call here the baby brother of the Erasmus, since the Erasmus is actually turning 35 years today. And nowadays, so in the next programming period, the program will respond to necessary digital and green transformations of the economy and the society. And the programs are being more inclusive, and they will encourage positive changes to make the education and training and youth and sport even more resilient. So this being said, it's actually good to notice that there has been the new framework for inclusion measures for both programs. It has been published recently, also in October. So as you can see, there are a lot of developments in the last few months. So this is something that has been developed by European Commission and which can be also used by policymakers and also national agencies and different bodies, project providers for these two programs in order to make program more inclusive and more accessible, especially for those young people who don't have those opportunities as the most of us. As regards to European Solidarity Corps, you can also find more information on the link below, but these are the policy priorities which are now included in all the calls for proposals, which is of course inclusion and diversity, where we aim to include as much as young people as possible. Then there is environmental sustainability and climate goals, which is something that is very well already mentioned by my friend Domago as well. And also there is digital transformation, there is participation in democratic life, promoting healthy lifestyles and preservation of cultural heritage. So through different types of activities, those policy priorities are actually reflected and they are taken care of while designing programs. And then projects from project promoters as well. So just a short information that there has been a published general call for the European Solidarity Corps in November 2021, so just a few months ago. And so these are the actions that you can see that are now consisting the call. And basically you can find all the information about the call, the specific criteria, the eligibility of applicants within the link. And something that is now very topical, because I think the deadlines for applications are either February, March, and then maybe some further months afterwards, depending on the actions that you want to apply to. When we talk about the Erasmus Plus, in this year, there is almost 4 billion for 2022, and also there are various opportunities such as study periods abroad, traineeships, staff exchanges, also cross-border cooperation in different areas of education and training, youth and sport. Also, you can find different opportunities on the links below. What is actually now new in the Erasmus and where the policymakers and of course the European Commission and the member states who are working together in designing the program, which is being constantly improved. Now you can see that the program offers a longer and more ambitious projects. So there will be projects of much larger budget, which will, for example, run for more than for a minimum of 3 years. So there is a tendency to have more exchange with third countries. There is tendency for more inclusiveness. Of course, as I have already spoke about the inclusion, the framework for inclusion measures. And also some other novelties, such as bringing the EU closer to schools with other initiatives, because in education there is a lot of novelties as well. And as well, there is the simplified financing of cooperation projects, especially for those project beneficiaries who have now the opportunities to apply, for example, for lump sum, which makes the financing much more easier, and then afterwards reporting and evaluation of projects as well. As you can see, in November, the call has been published with different opportunities in so-called key actions. So you can find more information available on this dedicated website on the European Commission, and I'm sure that you will have also time to check all the information. And of course, I encourage you to apply for application. And now I'm actually coming to the last part of my presentation, which is the presentation of the already very well-known initiative by the European Commission, proposed in September, actually last year. So this was something which was very fresh and very new, and that was actually that gave to the co-legislators, so the European Parliament and the European Council, quite a lot of work in the previous months, but we are happy to deliver this the decision on the European Year of Youth 2022 with its main objectives. As you can see, they are listed here. So the idea is actually to honor the young people who have actually given the most in the last few years, especially during the pandemic. I'm trying not to talk about the pandemic and the negative consequences of the pandemic, because I'm trying to have the whole presentation on a positive note, especially after hearing previous presentations. But this is really something which aims to be as positive as possible, and also to include as much and wide range of different stakeholders in different fields. So we really try to renew this positive perspective for young people, and also to combine those priorities, which are actually the overarching priorities currently in the European Union, such as the green and digital transition as well. We are trying to find the right balance in order to invite young people to be co-creators of these activities. And through all these main objectives, we are actually trying to have as much as cooperation between the relevant stakeholders, the national bodies, the EU institutions, and then also with young people themselves. So who are the target groups? Of course, young people, but we the aim is to include as much as young people with fewer opportunities. So we talk about, of course, for example, young people with disabilities, young people not in training, education, or employment, young people from rural and remote areas, which are also very important to have their voice heard. And also, as already said, different policy areas. Inclusion, employment, participation, education and training, digital, culture, health, sports. So everything is very wide established, and we really need as much as coordination and co-creation possible at this point. So which is why this process is currently being drafted, and it's still work in progress. But it will definitely involve different stakeholders on European, but also national levels. And with that purpose, there have been also nominated national coordinators within each of the member states in order to facilitate this process. So what about the events and activities that are envisaged? So everything is welcome. As you can see, different conferences, events, initiatives, promoting youth participation, promote different existing tools, existing channels and programs, which can enable young people to better reach policymakers, but also trying to gather as much ideas as possible using participatory methods. For example, the European Commission has already made a preliminary survey before even launching, before the start of the European Year of Youth. So through the European Youth Portal, they have collected numerous ideas and proposals from young people in order to see in which direction the European Year of Youth will go. So all this that you see now is actually quite welcome. And there is still a lot of work in progress, because we are already in January, only in January. So now we are actually still trying to find the proper way in order to make this year as successful as possible. And also the aforementioned projects, Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps, they will definitely contribute to the European Year of Youth. Because they will, with some dedicated budget from these programs, they will also seek possible synergies with all the new initiatives implemented in this context, but also not these programs, but many other programs which are currently being implemented on the European level, but also by member states. And member states are those who are in charge to make available funding and to try and make this year as successful as possible. Also, the European Year of Youth will be very much linked to the Conference of the Future of Europe. Well, you are all aware that young people are they are playing a crucial role in the process of the Conference of the Future of Europe, because 1/3 of each of the European citizens panel is actually made up of young people. And also taking into account that there are various stakeholders included. For example, European Youth Forum, who is doing an excellent work regarding both the European Year of Youth and also the Conference on the Future of Europe. So the main idea is to get involved as much as possible. And just at the very end, I would like to invite all young people, but also all other different stakeholders, policymakers, either on EU or national levels, to get involved and to see what is actually being done here on this specific web portal. So there is a dedicated web portal for the European Year of Youth. It's an interactive one where you can find all the recent progress. You can find also the interactive map with different events that can be actually they can be registered in this interactive map, and also you can get involved, propose your ideas, and also, for example, there is the visual logotype as well being developed. So you can also go there to that to the website and also use the materials that you can find there. So they are available for download, and also try to spread the word about this very exciting initiative. So this will be all from my side, and I hope that you find this information useful. Thank you very much.
Mr. Shulman, thank you for presenting us with the current state regarding EU youth policy, strategies, policies, tools, actions, and opportunities aimed at empowering youth participation. During the period of French presidency of the Council of the EU, so there is no more qualified person to present us the priorities of the French presidency of the Council of the EU in the youth field. So please welcome Councillor in charge of youth education and higher education, chair of the Youth Working Party and the Council of the EU, based in Brussels at the French permanent representation of the EU Minister, Mr. Pierre Lepote. Mr. Pierre Lepote, I would like to invite you to start with your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the floor. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really glad to participate in this webinar. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about our priorities in the youth field for our presidency. Well, we have just started this presidency, but when it comes to youth policies, it's more relevant and more important to say that we have started a new cycle and a new trios of presidencies with our Czech colleagues and Swedish colleagues. So it's, as Vladimir said it before, it's the beginning of the 9th cycle of the EU Youth Dialogue. And so we have, as the first presidency of this new trio, we have the opportunity to launch and implement this new cycle of the EU Youth Dialogue. Together with Sweden and the Czech Republic, we agreed to work together during the 1.5 years on issues of sustainable development and inclusion, and then this will be in connection with 2 European youth goals, which are part of the EU Youth Strategy. Youth Goal number 10 regarding a green and sustainable Europe, and Youth Goal number 3 relating to inclusive societies. And young people from our national youth councils chose a motto for our cycle, which is engaging together for a sustainable and inclusive Europe. So this is the motto of the 9th cycle. And more precisely, during the French presidency, we wish to focus on the engagement of young people as agents of change for the protection of the environment. And so we will work on conclusions on that matter that will be adopted, I hope so, at the next Youth Council at the beginning of April. And this topic, the topic of the engagement of young people for the protection of the environment, will be at the center of our European Youth Conference that will take place next week. It was supposed to be in Strasbourg physically, but of course it will be online, unfortunately. And this topic will be at the center of an informal ministerial meeting gathering ministers for education and youth together next week too, on the 27th of January in Strasbourg. And during this informal ministerial meeting, the main topic will be about young people, young Europeans as full players in Europe for a greener and more sustainable Europe. And during this ministerial meeting, ministers will talk about this topic, but young people too, as young delegates from the 27 member states will participate in the meeting together with the ministers. So they will talk about this topic, and they will answer or give some pieces of answer to two different questions. The first one is, what are the main challenges to be met in order to support and train young people to enable them to be active citizens of a more sustainable Europe? So it's very, that's why we have this cross-sectorial meeting, education and youth together. It's about how to equip young people, how to train them, how to so that they can really be aware of the different issues we have to cope with, and to give them the right competencies to make their own decisions and to act if they want to. And the second question is, how more generally can the voice of young people be better taken into account in the development of public policies? So it's more about, it's a broad question about the participation of young people. Regarding the other themes that France will address during its presidency, there is the important issue of the mobility of young volunteers. Sorry, can you hear me? Yes, I think there is. Yeah, okay. So there is another, our second topic is about the mobility of young volunteers to bring European citizenship to life and the promotion of skills acquired in this context. And last week, the Commission adopted a proposal for an update of a recommendation on the mobility of young volunteers across the European Union. So member states within the Council, we have just started to work on this proposal, and we hope to have it adopted at the beginning of April too. And then we have a third priority, which is in the continuity of the 8th cycle of the EU Youth Dialogue, the previous cycle. We want to lead a reflection on the promotion of new forms of participation and inclusion of young people in the decision-making processes of the EU and of the member states. And we will organize, we will have a kind of seminar, expert seminar on youth participation in the European project at the beginning of June. And of course, we will work on that topic in connection with the European Year of Youth and with the conference on the future of Europe. So, if I may summarize very briefly, we hope that our presidency will provide the opportunity to make progress on 3 key issues: the engagement of young people as agents of change for the environment, the mobility of young volunteers across the EU, and the promotion of the participation of young people. Thank you.
Mr. Laporte, thank you for presenting us with the priorities of the French presidency of the Council of the EU in the youth field. And this would be it for today's presentations. We had an amazing opportunity to hear presentations from both young entrepreneurs and youth policymakers on the other side. We saw the glimpses of what is ahead of us, future in which acquiring knowledge is exciting and enjoying fashionable and comfortable footwear is environmentally friendly at the same time. We have also heard that much is yet to be done in empowering young people in their entrepreneurial undertakings, and that much is being done in terms of encouraging youth participation community as well as national and international policy and decision making. So if any of you has any other final words or final recommendations, you are more than welcome to take a word. If there is nothing else to be added, I would feel free to invite the State Secretary, Mrs. Josic, to close our today's meeting, presentations, and webinar.
Just one second. I want to inform you, Miss Josic has lost connection. She doesn't have audio connection anymore. So just to excuse her from this summary at the end. I'm sorry.
Okay, so thank you everyone for this participation, and I'm really hopeful that some other events that also might invite both youth entrepreneurs and policymakers to really connect and share their ideas and visions of the future might actually lead us to better understanding, better cross-generational knowledge transfer, and better future for the citizens of the EU. So thank you all for participating in today's webinar.